Epi. Epi means it is attached to, or in addition to, or over and above. For example, epicenter. Whenever an earthquake happens, the place on the earth surface, which is directly above the point, above the focus of earthquake, that is epicenter. So epicenter is attached to the focus, is directly over the focus from where it has started. Epiphyte, a plant, small plant, which is attached to another plant, but doesn't depend on the other plant for its food. So, for example, in this image, you can see these are all small plants which are attached to the big plant. They don't have roots. They just live on air and rain. You see a lot of such plants in tropical regions where there is a lot of rain. You see these plants. It looks little creepy if you go to these places, these tropical places. You will be astonished to see such plants. In normal places you don't see, but in these places they just survive on air and rain. They don't need any other nourishment. Such plants are called epiphytes. Epi is attached to another plant, that is epiphyte. Epitaph. So tab is the tomb. Whatever is attached to the tomb, whatever is written on the tomb. Let's say for a person on his tomb it was written, he is a very gentleman, always very helpful, he was a good donor, etc. etc. That is an epitaph. Epitaph. Epithet. This is again attached to a person or a thing. Any word or a phrase that is attached to a person. For example, Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi is the name, Mahatma is the epithet. In some cases, epithet can be a positive word. In some cases, epithet can be a negative word. Let's say you have a friend who doesn't run fast, and you give an epithet to him, which is cheetah. That's an insult to him, but still it's an epithet. But whenever you are calling his name, you are calling him Cheetah Ravi or whatsoever. That means all the time you are giving him that nickname, and you'll use that nickname along with the original name, that is epithet. Epidemic, it is attached to population. Epi is in addition or attachment. Population, any disease that is affecting large amount of population. You would have heard this word epidemic, pandemic, etc. etc. during COVID times. Epidemiology is the study of this. Epigram. Epigram is a very short sentence or a phrase which expresses a bigger idea in a very short way. So this attaches to a bigger idea in a very short way. For example, I can resist everything except temptation. This is a small phrase, but it is expressing a bigger idea in a clever and amusing way. This is epigram. Epilogue. Epilogue is a speech, generally which is given, a speech or conclusion which is given at the end of a book or at the end of a play or a movie, etc. etc. This is an attachment. Once the movie is over, then you give a small epilogue which says what happens to the characters after that. That is an epilogue. You can see epilogue is epi plus log. Log is derived from logos. Logos means reason or word or speech, etc. So, logical is derived from logos. The opposite of epilogue is prologue, which is at the beginning of the movie, at the beginning of the book. It is more like preface or introduction. Monologue. Log means speech. Mono is solo. Solo speech, a very long speech in a play or in a movie spoken by one of the characters. That is monologue. If someone is giving a long speech, you will say he is given a big monologue. Neologism. Neologism. What is this? It is Again, log is related to words. Neo is new. Coining of new words or introduction of new words. That is this. Syllogism. What is this? This is taking reason, taking logic. Let's say there are few sentences, and you derive. Let's say there are two statements. You derive a third statement using these two statements. That is syllogism. Syllogism. Take this example. Every virtue is laudable. Kindness is a virtue. What that means? Therefore, kindness is laudable. You see a lot of nowadays in many competitive examinations, you are getting these syllogism questions, right? This is a way of argument in which you take two statements and prove a third statement using those statements. Then hypo. Let's get to the next root word, hypo. Hypo means below or under. Hypodermic injection means the injection is given below the skin. That is hypodermic. Hypochondriac. So these are persons who always worry about their health. What has this hypochondriac to do with this? What is under or below? Chondriac is the place around the chest. Historically, people used to believe, historically, the doctors used to believe this hypochondriac, the disease is somewhere there around the chest. The area around the chest is the place where people get diseases. So they used to feel under this area is the seat of the disease, whereas hypochondriac is there is no real disease, it's all mental only. And these hypochondriac people always feel that something is wrong with their health. They are sick always. So chondriac is a place around the heart, around the abdomen, and hypo is below. So that is the seat of disease, is what people used to believe earlier. Hypoglycemia. Glycemia is sugar. Hypoglycemia is low blood sugar. Opposite of this is hyperglycemia. Hyper is high. That means blood sugar is high. That is hyperglycemia. Hypothermia. This is again a medical word. When someone is frozen, their body temperature goes down. So thermia is temperature. Someone is frozen. Let's say someone is without shelter and is staying in Himalayas. Then the temperature is very low, and at some point it becomes lethal, and their temperature falls down. That situation is hypothermia. When temperature falls to somewhere like 95 degrees, it becomes very dangerous. That situation is hypothermia. Hypotension. Hypotension is low blood pressure. Hypertension is high blood pressure. Hypo is low, hyper is high. Let's get to another root word, poly. Poly means many. That you all know. Right? Polygamy. Gamos means marriage in Greek. Polygamy obviously means the practice where there would be multiple spouses, multiple marriages happening simultaneously. That is polygamy. This polygamy is can be polygyny or polyandry. Polygyny is when a male has more than one wife. When a male has got multiple wives, that is polygyny. Polyandry is when a woman has multiple husbands. This is polyandry. Both of them are polygamy. Polyglot. Polyglot. Glot means tongue. Poly means multiple. What has multiple tongues got to do? What is multiple tongues? Multiple tongues means people who can speak multiple languages. A person who can speak multiple languages, that person is called a polyglot. For example, there is this Roman Emperor Charles V. He used to claim, he used to speak that he would converse with his horse in German, he would converse with women in Italian, he'll converse with men in French, and he will converse with God in Spanish. He used to claim that. So he used to claim he knows multiple languages. That is a polyglot. Glot. Glot means tongue. Similarly, epiglottis. Epi means what? Attached. We just discussed here. Epi. Epi is attached. Attached to glot. Epiglottis. Epiglottis. Attached to tongue. So this is the thin piece of tissue which is attached to the tongue, or which is attached to the beginning of the tongue, or at the behind the tongue, that prevents food or liquid from entering the lungs. That is epiglottis. This is again a medical term. Polygraph. Poly is many. Graph means writing. What is many writing? Polygraph is an instrument that records multiple things simultaneously. This is generally a lie detector. How does it do? Lie detector. What is the assumption? How does the lie detector work? Lie detectors work by recording multiple variables simultaneously. Generally, when people are lying, their physiological variables will not be normal. For example, when someone is lying, their blood pressure might go high, or their pulse might be faster, they might perspire, or their breathing might become faster. So, so these all variables, this polygraph records simultaneously. So that's how it is. That's why it is used as a lie detector. In lie detector, they give some questions which are simple questions, where and then how does a lie detector work? They give simple questions like what is your name? Are you a man? How old are you? Etc. etc. And record the responses. And then compare against the relevant questions. And as long as someone is telling the truth, these variables would be in a certain range. If someone is lying, there will be some difference in these variables, with which they will decide whether that person is lying or not. But there is a lot of criticism for this lie detectors or polygraphs, because there is another belief which says people can fake lying. If some person who has practiced so much and believes that the lie is true, he practices so much and he is able to fake the lie as much as like as if he is believing it to be true, then this polygraph will not detect the lie. That's why there is some criticism. Right. So we have understood few words here related to poly, hypo, hyper, and epi. Hope you have understood these words. We'll understand more words, more root words in the next video.